It's time for Perfect Pairings, Buck, where we go through a division and try and find who we think would be the best fits for their first two picks. And today, let's kick it off with the AFC North.
Well, when you talk about the AFC North, we have to talk about the Cleveland Browns because they control the draft board. At one, I think the Cleveland Browns have to take Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, to me, is a perfect quarterback for that situation. Tough, gritty, competitive, ultra-athletic. And with Tyrod Taylor there, he gets the opportunity to sit and have a redshirt year before taking over as the face of the franchise. I think you add Sam Darnold to this mix, you certainly have an opportunity to get better.
Only 20 years old, so the future very bright there for Sam Darnold. I like that fit with the Browns. How about at the fourth pick? Shoot, they only have to wait. Not have to wait very long, turn to the next card.
No, they get to turn to the next card at number 4. And we've talked about this off air. Fortifying the strength, adding strength to the strength. How about Bradley Chubb to the defensive line that already features Myles Garrett and Emmanuel Ogbah? Now you have two cornerstone players on both edges. Both guys can get home. You now have two defensive ends that can get you 10-plus sacks in the AFC North with big-time quarterbacks. That is a huge asset for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns, they've amassed a ton of draft picks. The key's going to be selecting the right players. I think Chubb will be a great fit for the Browns at number 4. I like that one, Buck. Now we get to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a team coming off a 7-9 season. They picked 21st and 46th. And when I look for him at pick number 21, how about Rashaan Evans, the linebacker from Alabama, who has that versatility to stack off the ball as well as even rush off the edge if you want him to in sub situations. A very talented player. I think he's a tempo guy. Definitely brings some energy and some tempo to the defense.
And not only that, he brings a different perspective, a different attitude to position. Look, they've had issues for years with Vontaze Burfict. You get a Rashaan Evans, you have a little more dependability and accountability at the position. You want to change the locker room, the culture in the locker room. Rashaan Evans can't be that guy.
I thought they did a nice job via trade of adding Cordy Glenn to that offensive line, but I think they could double down, come back, get another offensive lineman with maybe some tackle guard versatility. Crosby from Oregon at pick number 46. I love this pick for them. He is a nasty dude, which, by the way, body type-wise, one of the more unique body types. He's
very unique.
Doesn't have a whole lot in the lower half down there, but he is a power player. He'll use his upper body, torque, and wrestle you and get you on the ground. I think he's an excellent prospect. At pick number 46, I think he'd be a good value.
Be a good value pick, and this is a team that has continued to try and reshape their offensive line. New offensive line coach comes in. They want to be more power-based running offense with Joe Mixon being the centerpiece. You got to have the big bodies up front. I think Tyler Crosby would be a nice addition.
No, I'm with you on that one. All right, let's move on here to the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens coming off a 9-7 season, missed the playoffs by that much. They pick 16th and 52nd overall. What do you think?
Calvin Ridley at 16 is a guy that could help them get over the top. That passing game has struggled. And I know they went a couple years ago, tried to get a first-round wide receiver, didn't work out. But I think Calvin Ridley is a little different animal on the outside. A clean route runner, outstanding explosiveness and burst with the ball in his hands. I believe he's a natural number 1. He comes in and starts, upgrades that offense.
Yeah, somebody could definitely take the top off the defense. Use Joe Flacco, stretch out the field a little bit there at pick number 16. How about pick number 52 in the second round, Buck?
It is all about trying to help Joe Flacco elevate his game. Ian Thomas from Indiana, athletic playmaker between the hashes. We've seen the catch and run ability. Here we see it in the video. His ability to make plays, particularly down the middle of the field, will continue to open up the field for the rest of receivers. The Baltimore Ravens have to do a major reset in the passing game. These two players should reset them.
Ian Thomas, man, the more I watch him, the more I like him. I think he's got a chance to be an outstanding pro. You see the burst, the suddenness at the top of his route, and then after the catch, you see him right there carrying a defender from Georgia Southern into the end zone. Mark that down in my notes when I watch that one. All right, let's move on now. You got a couple good picks there for the Ravens. Finally, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers' time, a team coming off a 13-3 season. They won that division last year, holding picks number 28 and 60. At pick number 28, because an unfortunate injury to Ryan Shazier, I think linebacker is a place they could go. And let's go to Boise. Leighton Vander Esch, big physical linebacker, the range to make plays sideline to sideline. 6'4", 250 pounds, Buck, and you see him make plays laterally like a guy that's 30 pounds lighter. So that type of versatility can also help you cover running backs and tight ends.
Not only the versatility and the athleticism, but I think he plays like a Steeler. High motor player, tough, competitive, physical. We had an opportunity to talk to him here on Path to the Draft. This guy's wired the right way. I think he'd be a nice addition in their defense.
All right, then we get to pick number 60. Let's get another player in that front seven. Let's go get B.J. Hill from NC State, who has tested like a freak. And when you watch him play, Buck, the production might not be there like you'd like it to be, but you see a guy who's disruptive, who's explosive, and I believe his best football is ahead of him, can give you some interior pass rush.
Yeah, you have to like his ability to be able to control the point from the inside, but also push the pocket, get to the quarterback. Pittsburgh Steelers are really trying to make sure that they're strong down the middle. B.J. Hill, Leighton Vander Esch, they have improved with these 2 picks.
We're going to focus on the AFC East right now, Buck. And why don't you kick it off here? The team that finished last in the division, disappointing 5-11. But the Jets, they've got some draft capital.
Oh, we're going to bring them back. And we're going to bring them back by getting a franchise quarterback. Josh Rosen is going to be the pick at number 3. Josh Rosen is a perfect fit in New York. I like his experience. I like the way he really is a high IQ quarterback. I think he'll get along with Jeremy Bates, their offensive coordinator. More importantly, I think he has enough arm talent to elevate the players around him. If you get him locked and loaded and get him really focused in on football, this is a guy that can take the New York Jets offense to the next level.
Yeah, they traded up from 6 to 3, and that has to be for a quarterback. Rosen's the name that really makes the most sense because I think whoever they draft is going to get on the field right away. How about the next pick for them is not till the 3rd round?
Yes, look, they need some more weapons on that offense. They lose Austin Safarian-Jenkins. Let's get them a tight end, Mark Andrews from Oklahoma. Andrews is a guy that is a really, really talented playmaker. Every time you look at the tape, he is wide open. Now, some would say that's by design of the scheme. I'll say some of that has to do with the player.
That's a nice one.
But what I do like about him is dependable. He's reliable. Does a great job of making catches. When you look at Josh Rosen's game, he loves to depend on the tight end. Well, let's get him a tight end that consistently gets open. That is Mark Andrews.
Get open and catch the football. Last I checked, that's the job description there. All right, I like what you did with the Jets. My turn now with the Dolphins coming off a 6-10 season last year. Pick number 11. Let's stay with the quarterback. Lots of new quarterbacks this year in this division. Let's go Baker Mayfield and just plug him down there in South Beach. Ryan Tannehill's not going to want to hear this, Buck, but they sure have been doing a lot of homework on this quarterback class. I think that's for a reason. Looking for somebody that can add a little more spice, a little more energy to that group and to that offense. Baker Mayfield at pick number 11, if he gets there, I think would be a great fit. And then pick number 42, let's grab a running back and Kerryon Johnson, who I think is undervalued when you talk about all the backs in this draft class. He's got patience, he's got vision, he's got balance. Maybe not going to blow you away with a low 4.4 Buck, but he's got plenty of short area quickness and suddenness. I think he'd be a nice fit in that backfield.
I like both of those picks. I especially like the Baker Mayfield pick. Adam Gase talked about bringing more alphas into that locker room.
That's an alpha.
Well, he's definitely bringing an alpha with Baker Mayfield.
All right, what we got for the Bills here?
Hey, the Buffalo Bills, in a perfect scenario, they would love to get their guy at 12. How about Josh Allen?
This is all quarterbacks in this division.
It's all quarterbacks. This division, they got to get better. If you're going to close the ground on TB12, you got to bring in a big-time quarterback. I'm saying that Josh Allen has the potential to be a big-time quarterback. When I look at him, I call him Cam Newton light, meaning he has the size, the athleticism, the arm talent to be like the former league MVP. The thing that you have to do is figure out how to make him comfortable so he can be more accurate. I believe he fits that locker room, blue-collar mentality. You put him in Buffalo, I think you're on your way to being a perennial contender.
All right, pick number 22. Where you got him going there?
How about another alpha dog? Let's go with Rashaan Evans, a linebacker from Alabama. Look, Sean McDermott has done a great job of really getting this defense going without having a lot of blue-chip players at his disposal. Let's get him a blue chip to be the guy that can really control it in the middle. Evans is a sideline-to-sideline menace, does a great job of making plays on instincts. Also has a little versatility, give you a little pass rush. I like this pick. I like this player. I think he'd be a good fit in Buffalo.
You know, once upon a time, Reggie Ragland was the guy there. This is a better player. Would you agree than Reggie Ragland?
More athletic, more sudden.
There you go. I'm with you on that one. All right, let's get to the Patriots. They own this division, have for a long time, coming off another Super Bowl appearance here. Pick number 23, which they just acquired from the Rams in the Brandon Cooks trade. I think they go tackle here. Nate Solder's gone. Colton Miller is somebody that a lot of folks compare to Nate Solder. So you replace him with a like player. Look, Colton Miller, when I watch him, Buck, I see some flaws in his game. I saw him get beat up a little bit against Texas A&M. You cannot deny the size. You cannot deny the athleticism, and I think the upside is tremendous. The good news is the Patriots have probably the best offensive line coach in the NFL, Dante Scarnecchia.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be a great fit because Scarnecchia is an outstanding coach, outstanding teacher. And when I look at Miller, he does remind me a lot of Nate Solder. Nice athlete. You just need to figure out how to refine the tools.
All right, pick number 31, Leighton Vander Esch. I don't know. The buzz has been built on him so much if he's going to be there when it's all said and done at pick 31, but we're calling this perfect pairs. So this is a perfect scenario here. They get a very talented off-the-ball linebacker with rare size, and nobody covets size quite like Bill Belichick. That length, he would love to throw him in the middle of that defense, let him, Dante Hightower, do their thing. The versatility he brings as well would be a big asset.
I think the versatility is really a huge aspect. When you think about the smarts, the toughness, and then the versatility, he checks off all the boxes for the Patriots and what they typically have as their criteria. Van Der Esch would be a nice Patriot.
Time for perfect pairings in the AFC South Buck, a division that was a laughingstock a few years ago. Now looks like one of the best young divisions in the NFL.
It looks like one of the best young divisions because they're loaded with quarterbacks. And so anytime you think about quarterback play, you also have to fix the defense. And so for me, I'm taking the Houston Texans right away. I believe in the third round, we have to think about a guy that can get the ball back. How about MJ Stewart from North
Carolina guy?
Look, the reason he would be a nice fit in this defensive scheme, one, he's tough enough to tackle. He's willing to tackle. He also has some pretty solid pass cover skills, and he's a guy that can play inside and outside. I think that is critical for the Texans.
Hey, look, that's their first pick there in the third round at pick number 68. No 1 or no 2, but they do have their quarterback last year as a result of that trade in Deshaun Watson. Their second pick, though, also in the third round, pick number 80. Who do you like there?
I'm going to go with Mark Andrews, someone that can control the middle of the field for Deshaun Watson. When we think about building an offense around Deshaun Watson, well, we see, look, they like to run RPOs and pop passes and the like. I don't know if there's a better pop pass route runner in college football than Mark Andrews. Did a great job of being Baker Mayfield's big-time target in the middle of the field. I think you do a phenomenal job in Houston for Deshaun Watson.
I like what you're doing there for this Texans ball club, one of the best young, talented teams in the NFL. A couple third-round selections there. A team, though, the Colts, if they can get Andrew Luck healthy, they could get right back in the mix. But they have some other roster holes to fill. Right now, picking 6 and 36 with their first 2 picks. Bradley Chubb, to me, is the home run pick. If somehow he lands there, the best edge rusher in the draft coming out of NC State. He can win with speed, power. He's got an array of hand moves he can throw at you. His effort does not stop. I think he's the premier guy, and at number 6 would be a home run for Chris Ballard.
Oh, he'd be an outstanding pick. I mean, they need a pass rusher. When they were at their best, Dwight Freeney, Robert Masters crashing off the edges. Look, I know you want to protect Andrew Luck. Well, the best way to protect him is to get a defense that can get the ball back, give him more opportunities.
I'm glad you mentioned protection here. Austin Corbett from Nevada, played tackle at Nevada. I think could kick inside and play guard at the next level. He's tough. He's instinctive. He's smart, and to me, Buck, this is a guy I think's got Pro Bowl potential. Could be a steal in the second round.
When I talked to one of his former coaches, he said, look, this guy has everything that you look for at the position. He has the versatility, he has the smarts, and he has the work ethic. He is going to be a solid pro. I believe in it. I think he would be a nice fit in Indianapolis.
All right, let's get to the Tennessee Titans. Finished second in the AFC South last year. Finished 9-7. They own the 25th and 57th picks. Go.
We're trying to go from good to great in Tennessee, and so the best way to do that is continue to put pieces on that defense. Harold Landry with the 25th pick makes a lot of sense to me. This is a team that is a little older at edge rusher. Derek Morgan, Brian Orakpo. You get Harold Landry, you now have a young guy to throw into the rotation. Look, he didn't have a great senior year, but he had an outstanding junior year where he had 16.5 sacks. I'm willing to bank on that flash that he displayed as a junior. I think it shows back up when he goes to the pros.
Ability to bend off the edge is definitely his best trait there. Pick number 57, what do you think?
Look, Frank Ragnow. We want to be a physical running team. The Tennessee Titans are at their best when able to run it right down your throat. Ragnow is a guy that can be a centerpiece in that. A nice pivot, a guy that is strong, sturdy, solid, does a great job of finishing. And I know he can play center. I think maybe in a pinch we can move him to guard. But regardless, I think he is going to own the line of scrimmage at that position. I think he really helps them get back to being a dominant running attack.
Focusing up front there for the Titans, I like it, Landry and Ragnow. Let's get to the team, though, that dominated this division last year. They won it. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Came this close to getting to a Super Bowl. They hold picks 29 and 61. At pick 29, I know they brought in ASJ, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, but let's go get him another tight end to pair up with him. Dallas Goedert, to me, is an outstanding player. You look at him at South Dakota State, you can line him up in line, you can put him in the slot, you can even split him out wide. He is a dynamic player in the red zone. He's a touchdown producer, and he gives effort in the run game. He's not there yet, Buck, but I love the effort he brings.
I think he is very, very similar to what they're losing in Mercedes Lewis. Mercedes Lewis was let go. They now bring in Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert can be the guy that really owns the position as the number 2 opposite ASJ.
All right, now we get to pick number 61, one of my favorite players, Darius Leonard, linebacker from South Carolina State. Really reminds me a lot of what would be his teammate here in Telvin Smith. A little bit undersized, but can run all day, makes plays sideline to sideline. This is already one of the most athletic linebacking groups in the NFL. Now you plug him in there, watch out.
I see what you're doing. You continue to fortify strengths by adding more
speed
and more firepower. You're talking about a fast defense getting fast with Darius Leonard coming. He plays right beside those guys. I think he helps them, continues to do it. And guess what? the Jacksonville Jaguars got new uniforms. I think Darius Leonard would look good in a new Jaguars.
Oh, that'll get you fired up. Time for some perfect pairings, the AFC West edition here, Buck. Going to work worst to first with how they finished last year. Their first 2 picks, let's find them the ideal players. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, start us off here with the team that finished last in the AFC West, 5-11 last year, the Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos need to find some help in the back end. They need someone that can replace Aqib Talib. So how about Denzel Ward from the Ohio State University? Outstanding cover man, great footwork, outstanding athleticism, combines that with terrific cover skills. This is a guy that can step right in, jump into one of those prime spots on the perimeter, and lock down wide receivers.
All right, how about pick 40?
And then we go to the second round. I think Ronald Jones. Look, I know he hasn't had a great offseason, but when you go back and look at the tape, I think you're really, really impressed with what he's able to do. Show more power, more toughness, more finish ability during his final season at SC. And we also know that he can catch the ball out the backfield. You're the Denver Broncos trying to elevate your quarterback, Case Keenum. You get a dual-threat playmaker like a Ronald Jones.
Yeah, the offseason has not been kind to Rojo, but you're right. The tape is so good. I think you got to go back to that. I think that'd be a good value pick there at number 40. Let's move on to the Raiders, 6-10 last year, 3rd in the AFC West. And I look at them picking at number 10. Get an impact player on the second level of the defense. Roquan Smith from Georgia, I think, would be a home run pick for the Raiders. He just fits so well into what they want from their linebackers, Buck. The ability to run, play sideline to sideline. You can use him as a blitzer. You can even rush him. Just let him rush if you want to off the edge. Extremely versatile, and the leadership he would bring would be outstanding.
He would be outstanding. Sideline to sideline minutes does a great job of making plays in the backfield.
Then we get to pick number 41. Let's go to the secondary. Carlton Davis, corner from Auburn. Big, long corner. You watch him press against Georgia. The first time they played, 3 times he presses the wide receiver out of bounds. It was almost going back to a little blindside right there, taking him off. That's the kind of the physicality he brings in press coverage. He can run a little bit, can play the ball down the field. He's a little bit tight. That's the only knock on him. That's why he would be available there at pick 41. I think it'd be an excellent value pick there for the Raiders.
No, I think it would be an excellent value pick. I love his toughness. I love the physicality. And speaking of physicality, I'm going to go with the L.A. Chargers and the physical force that I'm going to put on the inside. How about Deron Payne from Alabama? Roll Tide roll. When you look at Deron Payne, this guy has been the best player on the field in some games in the trenches. Big, fast, physical, great job using his hands, plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And we saw in the playoff, he took over. When you're Gus Bradley, you're looking to take that defense just up a notch. You need to have someone in between the tackles can dominate and control the line like Deron Payne.
What about finding somebody, though, for Phillip Rivers? Phillip Rivers getting a little old, Buck. You got a replacement for him eventually here in the second round?
I think Mason Rudolph from Oklahoma State could be a nice replacement for Phillip Rivers. Mason Rudolph is a gunslinger, does a great job of pushing the ball down the field, but really he's a control operator of an offense, meaning he can work the underneath game, does a great job of getting to the playmakers on the perimeter, allowing them to make plays on run and catch concepts. I like this fit. I like the fact that Mason Rudolph would be able to sit behind Phillip Rivers for a year or two before taking over in L.A.
No, I like that one there. Let's get to the team that won the division last year. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. By the way, did you enjoy it every time with the anthem and the home of the Chiefs?
Yeah,
I always enjoy that. I always enjoy that going to their games. Second round, pick number 54. Let's go Lorenzo Carter, edge rusher from Georgia. Get another guy to throw into the mix here. You can't have too many defensive linemen, especially in a passing league. Buck, you stand him up outside. You can use him, drop him, cover tight ends. He can cover backs. He's more of a blitzer than a rusher, meaning he doesn't really have a plan as a pass rusher, but I know he is so big and so explosive. There's a lot of tools to work with.
A lot of tools to work with, a lot of things that you're intrigued by, the physicality, the toughness, the athleticism, something that you certainly want to bring and let your coaches work with him.
Then you get to pick number 78 in the third round, Perry Nickerson from Tulane, one of my favorite corners in this draft. I believe he had 16 picks during his career at Tulane. He ran in the low 4.3s at the combine. So you've got an explosive player with outstanding ball skills. Just a little short. That's the big knock against him. I think you can slide him inside. He can be your nickel. There's a lot of value to Perry Nickerson. Has some inside-outside flexibility. A tremendous athlete.
Flexibility, ball skills, two things that will always pique the interest of coaches looking for guys that they can use in a variety of ways.
Buck, we're going to focus on the NFC North right here.
And when I think about the NFC North, I think about the Windy City of Chicago and the Monsters of the Midway. So I want to fix the Chicago Bears, and the best way to fix them is get the defense right. When the defense is right, the Bears typically play well. So at 8, I'm taking Tremaine Edmonds to give me a do-it-all playmaker at the front level. when I look at his ability to come off the edge, to play in the middle, to do so many different things, I think Vic Fangio will have fun having a versatile playmaker like that. You add him to Leonard Floyd, you now have some nice young pieces to build around the front seven.
All right, we're talking perfect pairing. So, guys, we would love to see in certain situations. I would love to see Tremaine Edmonds go to the Chicago Bears. Buck, 19 years old. He's just scratching the surface of how great he can be.
Just a baby. But I'm going to pair him with somebody else because I'm going to go with Isaiah Oliver in the second round. Isaiah Oliver is, to me, a perfect bump and run corner. He's long, he's rangy, he has enough speed and athleticism to shadow down the field. He's tough and competitive, and he'll tackle on the edges. This defense requires the corners to come up and tackle. Vic Fangio does a great job of getting his guys to do that. I think Isaiah Oliver is a nice fit in Chicago.
I love him. When he gets up and press and gets his hands on you, he's outstanding, and you see his ability to locate and play the ball down the field. I like that pick in the second round. All right, the Green Bay Packers, Buck, third place finish last year. I think you can attribute a lot of that to losing your quarterback for a big chunk of the season in Aaron Rodgers. But when I look at what they could do in the first round, pick number 14, how about Mike Hughes, the corner from Central Florida? You talk about an explosive playmaking corner. Maybe doesn't have that ideal size that you're looking for, but he plays big, especially down the field. He's physical. He's very fluid when you watch him change directions. He can play the ball, and, oh, yeah, he's also an outstanding kick returner.
You know, the big thing that you look for with playmakers on defense, can they put the ball in the paint, be it on pick sixes or something in the return game? This guy's a 2-for-1 player. He's outstanding in terms of cover skills, but he also has some return ability. This is someone who should upgrade their defense in a major way.
Yeah, big-time, twitched-up athlete, no question. In the second round, let's go get a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. And DJ Chark, look, this is somebody that has aced the postseason test. You watch him go to the Senior Bowl down there in Mobile, Alabama. They couldn't cover him. He ran by everybody. Then he goes to the Combine and put on a show there, showing off a little bit with that speed. Not a lot of production as much as you would hope for, but LSU hadn't had a good quarterback in, I don't know, 100 years?
Forever.
Yeah, it's been a minute, so I don't really put that on him. I think he's going to be a better pro than a college player, and you talk about it all the time. He kind of fits the specs of what the Green Bay Packers look for.
Absolutely. He has return skills. He's long, rangy. He has big-time speed. And when you look at what they're missing on offense, they're missing someone who can take the top off the defense. DJ Chark can be the vertical playmaker, allow Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb to do the dirty work underneath.
All right, the team finished 9-7 last year. The Detroit Lions got a couple picks. Who you got?
Here we go. We're going to take blue-collar players because we want to make sure that Matt Patricia has his kind of guys on both sides of the ball. So let's go Sam Hubbard as the top pick. 20th overall, he comes in. He gives them the pass rush to go opposite Ezekiel Ansah. When you look at Ziggy Ansah, his ability to crash the edges, well, you want someone on the other side that can force the quarterback to roll his way. Sam Hubbard is that guy. Plus, he has a little versatility that I think Matt Patricia can take advantage of.
And those Ohio State defenders, they arrive well coached, no question. All right, second round, who you like?
Mark Andrews, tight end from Oklahoma. They get rid of Eric Ebron. They bring Luke Wilson over, but I still think they're looking for another playmaker in between the hashes. Mark Andrews has proven during his time at Oklahoma he can make plays, just gets open, does a great job of catching the ball down the field, has a little rack ability. In this offense, we ever looked at tape, this dude is wide open. Some of that is by skill. Some of that is on his natural ability. I think he'd be a nice fit in Detroit.
Yeah, definitely a lot of space for him to operate in, no question. All right, let's get to the Minnesota Vikings here, the class of this division last year. Now, look at their first pick here. I look on the defensive side of the ball. Let's go to Georgia, Lorenzo Carter. And the reason is when I watch him, I think this is a Mike Zimmer-type project because you're betting he's going to be a better football player in the future than what he's been in the past. He's a tremendous athlete. It reminds me a little bit of Danielle Hunter coming out of LSU, and look at what he's been able to do with him. So this is a perfect project, in my opinion, for a Mike Zimmer-type defense. Is a tremendous upside with this player.
Outstanding upside, probably a better athlete than player at this point. But if you're Mike Zimmer, you get a guy like this. Maybe he has the luxury to be able to redshirt, just play as a rotational player before he gets a bigger role. I like the pick. I like the fit.
All right, we get to the second round. Let's go get a big tight end here for Kirk Cousins, your new quarterback. Kyle Rudolph's nice, but why not be able to get in that Tiger set, get two tight ends out there? Go get Ian Thomas from Indiana. One of those guys, Buck, I talk about the more you watch, the more you like. You see the burst, the pull-away speed here, and then watch him finish. Georgia Southern, hop on my back. And as an old App State guy, carrying a Georgia Southern defender in the end zone always warms my heart. He's a big-time player. I'd love that pick there in the second round.
I like the pick. I think the guy has really been on the rise throughout this process. Saw him at the Senior Bowl, checked off a lot of boxes because he's explosive, he's athletic, did a great job of getting better and better each day. You can envision him being a big-time starting tight end in the National Football League. I like this pick as he gets a chance to sit and learn behind Kyle Rudolph.
The NFC East right now, Buck. And why don't you start us off? Picks 2 and 34, the New York Giants. Who do you like?
I like Bradley Chubb at number 2 for the New York Giants. And the reason I like Bradley Chubb is when you're picking 2, you need to get a transcendent star, a guy that can be a difference maker for a decade. And I think Bradley Chubb is that guy. The last time the New York Giants picked that high, they were able to get a guy named Lawrence Taylor. He ended up being a centerpiece.
He was okay
On a team that won 2 Super Bowls. I think with Bradley Chubb, you fortify your defensive line. You get an all-day sucker on the edge, a guy that loves to play and brings the energy and commitment that you want. I think he would be a perfect fit.
How about 34?
Oh, then I go to the other side because I can't believe you can't have enough big men up front. How about Braden Smith from Auburn being a nice interior blocker that you can lean on? This is a guy, look, you can't get Quentin Nelson at the top of the charts. You go and get a guy who is rugged, who's physical, does a great job in the run game, gives them an opportunity to control the point of attack against teams that have physical presences on the inside.
Yeah, big man league, big man draft there for the Giants. Let's get to the Redskins, 7-9 last year, 3rd place in the division. That 13th overall pick, speaking of big guys, I think they go with a big guy. Vita Vea from Washington, I think, would be a great fit for this defense. Not only can he hold the point of attack and dominate against the run, I think he's got a little more to offer as a pass rusher. He's got a little wiggle for such a big man. You see him dominating against Stanford here. I think he's a plug-and-play starter, will help that defense immensely. Then they get to pick number 44. Again, stay big. Go on the other side. Billy Price from Ohio State. Tore his pec, unfortunately, at the Combine, Buck, but he's outstanding on tape, can play all 3 interior line spots, and this Redskins group could use a little help in there.
They can use a little help. They also can use some more nastiness. This is a nasty player, tough, physical, does a great job of finishing his blocks. You put him beside Brandon Scherff. I now believe the Redskins have the ability to run the ball when they want to run the ball.
All right, get to the Cowboys here. Team coming off a 9-7 year second-place finish in the NFC.
So those other teams we talked about playing big boy football, well, with the Cowboys, we're going to work on the edges. We're going to try and see if we can get them a little more sizzle on the outside. At 19, how about Calvin Ridley, a guy that can be their number 1 receiver? There's a lot of commotion, a lot of conversation about Dez Bryant, whether he can be the number 1. Well, what I do know, Calvin Ridley could step in and handle those responsibilities. Outstanding route runner, big-time playmaker. You put him in, Dak Prescott immediately improves because he has a weapon that he can depend on. But I'm going to go beyond that in the second round. I'm going to double down in playmakers. How about Mike Gesicki from Penn State being the tight end that they could use? Jason Witten has had a nice career, but Jason Witten can't separate anymore. How about going and get a guy that can be a big-time playmaker, particularly in the red zone? This is a guy, former high school volleyball and basketball player, creates mismatches, does a great job of winning those 50-50 balls. You now have this guy, Gesicki, controlling the middle, Calvin Ridley controlling the outside. Dallas Cowboys look a lot better instantaneously.
Yeah, you had some firepower there for America's team there with the Cowboys. I like it. Ridley and Gesicki giving them a little more athleticism at the skill positions. Finally, we got the Philadelphia Eagles coming off the Super Bowl win, 13-3 in the regular season last year, won that NFC East. At pick 32, Buck, let's go stay at that tight end position. You talked about the Cowboys addressing that need. How about the Philadelphia Eagles going and getting Hayden Hurst from South Carolina, who they can plug in and play opposite of Zach Ertz? I mean, I know they've made a move, bring in Richard Rodgers. He's a nice player they brought over from free agency on the cheap. But now you got a chance to really upgrade that second tight end spot. And Doug Peterson, he likes to mix and match his personnel groupings. Hayden Hurst gives you some flexibility there to do just that. Now, their next pick, not till the 4th round. So they're missing a 2 and a 3. They're going to take Friday night off with the draft. Come back on Saturday. Grab a corner. How about Duke Dawson, somebody that can plug in the slot and start right away and be an impact player for them coming out of Florida? Just kind of a bulldog, feisty player. Patrick Robinson was great for them last year. He goes to the Saints. So adding another guy in the mix, you get Sidney Jones healthy. Now you've got some real depth at that cornerback spot.
No, it sounds great. They definitely need the depth. I like the versatility that you gave them with a big tight end early, then to come back and get a nickel corner guy that can play, who's tough and instinctive. Sounds like a team that already has it all. It's more.
Focusing on the NFC South, Buck, we're going to take their first 2 picks for each team in this division and put in 2 guys we think would be a great fit. Why don't you start us off here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers need an enforcer. They need a difference maker in the middle of the field. How about Derwin James from Florida State? This is a guy that is a big-time playmaker, tough, physical, does a great job of making plays at various levels. I think he can drop down in the box and play almost like a pseudo linebacker, blitz, get after the quarterback, while also backing up occasionally and being a deep middle defender. He is a guy that's going to change the culture in the locker room because he is all ball all the time.
Yeah, That's the 7th overall pick there for the Bucs. I think Derwin James absolutely in their mix there. Will be a great fit. Be with his old college teammate there, and Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston,
leader on offense and your leader on defense there. How about pick 38 in the 2nd round?
Look, Ronald Jones, and I know there's been a lot of conversation about Ronald Jones sliding down the board, but when you go back to the tape, this was one of the best football players in college football. Did a great job of running the ball in between the tackles. Has some splash to him in terms of his ability to deliver big plays. He can catch the ball out the backfield, and when I look at the Bucs offense, that's what they're lacking. They're lacking a dynamic threat at the running back position. Ronald Jones is that threat. I think he upgrades their team if he comes on board.
Big-time home run hitter. Let's get to the team that finished 3rd in the division, though, the Atlanta Falcons, coming off a 10-6 season. Man, this was a good division last year. They hold the 26th and 58th picks here. At pick 26, let's go Taven Bryan from Florida, defensive tackle, who is a perfect scheme match for what they want to do defensively. He's a disruptor up front, extremely explosive. One area I'd like to see him improve on, I've talked about it a bunch, just locating the ball and being able to finish, because just about every snap he gets after the guy in front of him, Buck. He's just got to be able to finish and make a couple more plays, but what a fantastic athlete he is.
Great athlete. Does a great job of making things happen. He's disruptive. He fits that profile for what they want up front.
All right, get to pick number 58. How about throwing another young receiver in the mix here for this Falcon group? Already a great mix of wide receivers. Anthony Miller from Memphis, one of the best route runners in this entire draft. You watch what he does at the top of his route to generate some separation. You see the special one-handed catch there. You love the ball skills that he brings to the table. I think when you look at all these wide receivers this year, he's a plug-and-play guy. There's some of these guys going to take some time, need some development. Anthony Miller, I believe, is ready to go. I think would be a good pick for them at 58.
He would be an absolutely good pick, and he fits what they need. You lose Taylor Gabriel, you need someone that can come in and kind of make some plays. I think he's one of the best big play receivers that we have in the draft.
All right, get me going on the Panthers here. Coming off an 11-5 season, 2nd in the NFC South.
We're going to focus on the secondary, and the first guy that we can bring over to the Panthers is Josh Jackson from Iowa. Josh Jackson is a ball hawk, long range. He does a great job of getting his hands on the ball in this system where they really ask their corners to look in, clue the quarterback, and make plays. I think he can give them what they've been lacking since Josh Norman went to Washington a few years ago. This is a big-time playmaker. I think he would succeed in that defensive scheme.
You got some ball skills in the back end. I don't think you're done, though, here at pick 55.
No, I'm going to go right up the road. How about Jesse Bates from Wake Forest? Look, it's only about an hour 15 minutes away from Charlotte. He can drive down, come and give them another guy that can play in the middle of the field. You talk about another athletic corner, a guy that can make plays on tips and overthrows, but also does a really good job of tackling. He can get better, but I think he's tough enough, physical enough to be a contributor in the back end. You get Josh Jackson and Jesse Bates, I think your secondary has improved immensely quickly.
First of all, Fort Wayne's finest, Jesse Bates there, product of yeah, I got to get that little shout out in there. Let's get to the Saints here, 11-5. They won the division last year, picking 27. It's been no secret they're in the market for a tight end. Hayden Hurst from South Carolina, I believe, is the best tight end in this entire draft class. I think there's a real chance he's there for them when they pick the former baseball player. You see him here on a wheel route. He can go up, track the ball naturally. He's got some speed working down the hash. And, Buck, what makes him the top tight end for me, the toughness. Not just the toughness he has after the catch. He'll give you some effort in the run game as well.
Yeah, it's hard to find complete tight ends. I think he's as complete as they come. He'll give you some effort in the blocking game, does a really good job of making plays as a receiver in the middle of the field. He'd be a good selection for them. They need a guy.
All right, no second-round pick. We get to the 3rd round, though. Kamoko Toure, edge rusher from Rutgers. There's a chance he could go in the 2nd round, but if he's there in the 3rd round, I think this would be a great pick for the Saints. Looking for a little more edge rush, a little more dynamic athlete coming off the edge. He gives them that. He can bend and wrap around the edge. You see here the ability to finish. The production is a little bit up and down, a little bit inconsistent, but I love his style that he plays with, and I think with his natural athletic ability, which we saw at the Senior Bowl, if you get that version, you got yourself a stud.
Look, things that help him, he plays hard, he's athletic. It's just a matter of a coach putting him in the right scheme and allowing him to do work.
It's the NFC West edition, Buck. Going to go through these divisions one by one. We like to work worst to best here. Who finished last in the division in the NFC West? That team last year was the San Francisco 49ers.
San Francisco 49ers, according to their fans, are going to the Super Bowl. So let's help them get there with Jimmy G. How about Tremaine Edmonds coming right away with the 9th overall pick to give them really a dynamic player, a guy that can play off the edge, can also go inside and play linebacker. I love the athleticism, the instincts, and really I like the motor. I think this is a good guy that you can build as a foundation piece on your defense.
Yeah, again, these are the first 2 picks for each of these teams, who we would like to see in those spots. Their second pick's number 59.
Anthony Miller, wide receiver from Memphis. You continue to look to add weapons on the outside to help Jimmy Garoppolo take his game to the next level. This is a terrific route runner, great change of pace guy. Guy has stutter steps, all kinds of moves at the top of routes, consistently gets open in an offense that is continuing to look for guys that can add a little spice. Anthony Miller is one of those guys.
What's the song? Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Oh, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah, that's Anthony Miller. That goes in my head every time I see him. A little wiggle. I like that. All right, let's get to the team to finish third. That's the Arizona Cardinals, holding the 15th overall pick. Let's get them a wide receiver, a dynamic weapon. I think they could get the best receiver in the draft. Calvin Ridley there at number 15 from the University of Alabama. You watch him as a vertical threat. There's nobody like him that can separate down the field, and then you see what he does as a route runner. I think he's the most precise route runner and explodes in and out of the break point. He's going to have some drops. You got to live a little bit with that, but you get the explosive playmaking ability on the other side of the deal. I think it's a good value there at pick number 15.
He's a skilled wide receiver, does a great job of running routes, creating separation. He's exactly what you look for as a number 1.
All right, now we get to their next pick. Second round, 47 overall. Let's go get one of the best corners, nickel corners in this draft, Dante Jackson from LSU. Go back and watch him in 2016 to see what he can do when they let him go nose to nose. You see him blitz right there. Watch him high point and play the football. He is the most explosive player in this draft. When you watch him, he has got rare speed and he's got the track times to back it up. I think he's best used as a nickel corner. Put him in press and let him be kind of a little bulldog in there, Buck.
Yeah, I think he's a really, really impressive nickel corner. I think he has a lot of intriguing tools that you can bring. Put him in the right spot is critical for him because he could be a star at that nickel position.
All right, get us to the Seahawks. What do you think they're doing?
Isaiah Wynn at number 18 is a nice fit for the Seattle Seahawks. For years, they have struggled on their offensive line. Well, now you get a player that can play multiple positions along that line. We see him at Georgia play outside, but most of us envision him kicking inside to play guard. Regardless, he's a tough player, smart player, sound technician. He should upgrade this hapless offensive line.
Yeah, there's just no bad tape on him that exists this year. I didn't find it. He was so consistent and so good this year for the Georgia Bulldogs. How about the 4th round is their next pick, number 120 overall? You got to dig deep here, Buck.
Got to dig deep. So I'm going to dig deep and see if they can find a secondary option, a piece to help them. Tavares McFadden from Florida State comes over to jump into the new edition of the Legion of Boom. I like his length. I like his size. I like the way he played 2 seasons ago. Didn't play as well this season, but I'm hoping that Pete Carroll and the rest of the crew, they can unlock some of that potential, and maybe, just maybe, they find a Pro Bowl player.
You thought you had to dig deep there. How about my assignment here? I've got the Rams, who don't own a first or a second round pick. First time they're on the clock. It's pick number 87 in the 3rd round, so I got to find somebody for him. Linebacker is an area of need for this team. Malik Jefferson from Texas. This is somebody that was highly recruited coming out of high school. You see, when you watch him now, you will see the speed show up on tape. The instincts, there's an area he can improve in, Buck. But I think if you can remove him from the box, let him play outside the box where he can just run and hit, he can be an impact player here for the Rams.
I think it's all about fit and scheme. The defense coordinator has to have a clear plan for how he wants to use him, because if he's used the right way, he can be an impact player for sure.
Now we get to easily my favorite player in the draft for obvious reasons. In the 4th round, pick number 111, Colby Gossett. Yes. App State's Colby Gossett. Look, it's a football factor. We know this. Everybody knows this. All they do is win championships, back-to-back Sun Belt champs. Hashtag. But when you watch him play, Buck, he was consistent on tape. I didn't know how he was going to be able to fare, though, once he got to the Senior Bowl and playing against some of the best in the country, Alabama, LSU, all those defensive linemen he had to face. See him here against Georgia early in the season. He was outstanding at the Senior Bowl. So I think in the 4th round, Colby Gossett, not just being a homer because I'm an App State guy, I think that's a good value pick here for the Rams.
I do think it's a good value pick. You talk about day 3, trying to find someone that can come in and contribute and compete. This is a guy that certainly can do that.
We look after our own on here. That's what we do.